Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That's the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I'm going to be your host.
And as always, I'm your co-host with the co-most distance.
Tonight is the Metacast movie show about Rambo Last Blood. Rambo Last Blood is a 2019 action movie.
Directed by Adrian Grunberg and written by Matthew Cyrulnik and Sylvester Stallone.
It stars Sylvester Stallone, Paz Vega,
Sergio Perez Mencheta, and Adriana Barraza.
The budget for this movie was $50 million, and the box office take was $91.5 million.
The tomato meter rating was 27%, with an audience score of 82%.
So this is the fifth installment in the Rambo saga, and it follows John Rambo on a mission in Mexico to save his kidnapped adopted daughter. This was, it was an action movie. There was definitely some action in it. It was definitely not my type of movie. I enjoyed some parts of it though, but it's not what I would consider my type of movie. As far as like if I had to give it a verdict, if I had to recommend should you watch, I would have to give this one a no. How did you feel about Rambo Last Blood?
You know what? I also would give this a no.
Okay. I was
Even
so
though
worried.
I suggested it.
Yes. Oh my God. I was so worried that I was gonna say no, and that I was worried it was gonna be Drive Part 2. That you were just gonna like love this movie and just be like have the rug pulled out from under you when I didn't like it. But
yeah, I don't love the movie. I mean, it's like when you said it's an action film. It's like when someone says, "Oh, your shoes look comfortable." Are you calling my shoes ugly? It's like that's and it is, and going into it, I'm sure you knew that. I mean, you're familiar with the Rambo franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the fact that it added like a little more closure, a little more roundness to the character.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because I think we talked about this last week. I love the movies where like you take someone that's like at the end, like they're at the end of their career, at the end of their prime, at the end of their life, at the end of their childhood, even like any place where like you're not quite as vital or not quite as there. Like that's the reason why I like the movie. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was cool that Sylvester Stallone like wanted to kind of bring the franchise to a close.
Yeah, that's like what I would say is like my no would be unless you're a diehard Rambo fan. It's like if you're looking for just an action movie, I would say there's other movies that do this better, but there is no movie that's going to be the bookend to the Rambo saga that would replace this. So like that would be the one time I would say, yeah, definitely check this out if you are a huge Rambo fan that need to know how the saga ends, of course.
And for me, it's like it's just gritty. Like everything that's happening is so gritty. And for me, it's something where I liked that it was so hard to watch. Yeah. There's actually a couple scenes where like I had to look away from the screen. Like I'm usually not like, I don't usually have like a weak stomach,
Yeah.
One would say, but there's a couple shots where I'm just like, I was like, nope. But yeah, I think that's kind of like,
I think I can picture some of the shots you're talking about. Like so now, by the way, we are transitioning into spoiler territory. So, spoiler alert, the ripping of the rib.
I thought that was a clavicle.
Was it? I thought it was one of his ribs because I thought it was like further down and he was like peeling it. Either way, whether it was a clavicle or a rib, that one I think was one of the harder to watch
honestly,
things.
Like if it is a rib and if I'm mistaken, then I could have easily watched that. The reason why it bothered me is because I thought it was a clavicle.
It's fine if it's a rib.
Do what?
You're just like, it's fine if it's a rib. Yeah,
bro, I eat ribs all the time. It's fine. It's baby back, not human.
True.
But I think that, and that's the thing is like, I know that I suggested this movie, but this isn't a movie that I would tell everybody like you got to see this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like Rambo, if you like Sylvester Stallone, then yeah, hell yeah, like watch it.
And I would say even if you're like a huge action movie fan, why not check it out?
I mean, because the Rocky franchise, I mean, that's pretty much the best thing the guy's ever done. That'll never not be. Like, the original Rocky film, like, won him 2 awards.
Which I did not know until this movie those were 2 different characters. I thought the name was Rocky Ramboa, and I thought they were the same. I thought they were just the same character, and just I was very confused for parts of this.
Well, it's funny because if you look at the rest of the Rocky franchise, I mean, there's a scene where he shoots a helicopter down with an explosive tipped arrow from a bow.
That's Rambo, right? You said Rocky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I say?
Oh, you said Rocky franchise. I was like, they really are the same character.
They're the same.
I told you, man.
Like, it's so bad. Like, his weapon handling. There's one scene in one of the movies where he comes out of, like, one of the older ones where he comes out of a doorway with his M16 like sideways. He's like what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's my M16 sound, by the way.
That was a good one.
It sounded like a bulldozer, I think. But I think that what happens is that because the action's so cheesy and the shit that he does is so outlandish, because like in the one that, because at the end of the last movie, you see him walking onto this ranch. The one before this.
That's the one just called Rambo, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's just Rambo.
Yeah.
There's a scene in that where he mows down like 150 people with like a 50 cal he commandeers.
Jesus.
On like a truck, and I don't think he reloads at one time, which is kind of weird. Don't know how much those belts hold, but Jesus, it's a lot. But at the end of that movie is when he's walking onto this ranch. And it's funny because when that Rambo movie came out, I was like, oh, Sylvester Stallone's fucking old. No, he's not. He was not old in that one. He's old in this one.
Yeah. But still honestly, it looked pretty good for his age. Like, give the dude credit. Like,
is he like in his 70s now?
I would assume so. Yeah. And I mean, even just like through like...
He's 74.
74, yeah. I was going to say something that felt really gay forming the sentence in my head, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Like, just even through his shirt, you could see how beefy his shoulders were. Yeah, that's a really gay sentence, but I'm gonna stand by it. Like, for a 74-year-old dude, I'm just saying, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at his age, he's pretty jacked. I mean, even in the Expendables movies, he's able to like do some scenes where there's like some legit like running. Like he has to run down an entire like dock, like. I think when their plane gets blown up in one of the Expendables films.
That is one thing that bugged me about this movie is you could tell a lot of the action scenes. Like, I didn't really see Sylvester Stallone do much action. There were a lot of fast cuts and a lot of like, he like held a bow or he would like, chamber a gun, like things like that. But as far as like during actual movement scenes, it was like the Taken 3 like, formula of just like, all right, let's do 30 really fast cuts, and that way Liam Neeson doesn't actually have to break a sweat. Like, or maybe he can't, but either way.
Maybe it's not possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I did notice that there's a lot of cuts, like, and there's some parts of this that like remind me of Taken,
which may just be a necessity of the age. I mean, we did just talk about he's 74. So, I mean, the dude may not be in the shape to film a lot of shit like that anymore. So that makes sense. But
yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. And that's one thing that I think is interesting is that, well, that's the reason why Hugh Jackman was like done with Wolverine. He's like, I'm done doing deadlifts. Like, I can't do this shit anymore. I think I mentioned that last week at some point.
I feel like there was a meme I saw online that I really feel like is the truth for Hugh Jackman, that I think the dude just really wants to sing. Down in his heart, because he keeps doing these musicals, and Hollywood's just like, no, we want you to be in an action movie. He's like, no, I want to sing.
Yeah, and I mean, he's good. Like, I've seen some clips of him on stage. I mean, he's very, very good at that type of stuff.
Yeah.
There was a couple things I wanted to just mention to any of our like listeners real quick, because post-traumatic stress is a big theme in the Rambo films in general. That there's a couple things that I thought would be useful to anyone. So if you are a veteran and you're having some issues, you're suffering from PTSD, or you just need someone to talk to, there's people out there. So Wounded Warrior is a great organization. You've also got the Veteran Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Also, human trafficking is another theme in this film, and I wouldn't have felt right talking about it without mentioning this. If you or someone that you care about is a victim of human trafficking in any way, there's also people out there for you. So the National Human Trafficking Hotline is at 1-888-373-7888. And if you are familiar with these things, if this kind of stuff makes you sick and you don't want to see it or hear it or have it exist in the world, there's organizations out there that you can get with that will ally, that you can ally with, that are trying everything they can do to eradicate human trafficking from the planet. freedomunited.org is one major website, but there's a lot of resources out there. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of mention that because it's things that we're going to brush on, and that I just thought maybe like it would be relevant or thoughtful to like offer that to the viewers.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you. And I made a note for myself. I'm gonna make sure to put the numbers on screen in text for that. Yeah.
But you know, like that's the thing for me. That's what made this movie so difficult for me to watch.
Yeah, because there were definitely some real life issues that it struggled with here.
There's some gritty shit. I mean, the fucking part where he you know, uses his John Rambo secret agent skills and like gets to the place where like, you know, he finds these people and like, you know, he ends up having like 60 guns pointed at him at one time.
Yeah.
And then I like the fact that Rambo gets the shit beat out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's more realistic. Like, you don't think that a guy that old is going to be able to overpower that many people.
Yeah.
And there's some realism, like, in the film, just a little bit, you know, outside of, like, the older films.
Mm-hmm.
But the part when the guy... Because they do a great job of making the audience hate the villains.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When he leans down and tells him he doesn't think of these women as anything other than things. They're not people to him. Like that whole line, he says a lot more than that, but that right there was like, well, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Fucking kill him, Rambo.
They did the almost as blatant as John Wick, where it's like literally have the villain kill a dog. Like that is the easiest way to get you to kill, like be like against someone. It's like, all right, we're gonna have the villain murder a puppy. Like the audience will hate him.
Yeah, like. And that's the thing, like so many people, like even if you don't particularly like dogs, it's just kind of like, and if that's not enough, they steal his muscle car.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. For the people, for the non-dog guys out there.
Yeah, it's like I was like, oh, not the dog, and they took the car. I was like, oh hell no, bro, you better fuck them up, John Wick.
Oh hell no.
It's funny because there's a part where, you know, when she's the niece, what's the character's name? Gabriella, right?
Yeah.
When she's talking to him like in the tunnels, and he's like, she's talking about going to see her piece of shit dad, who we don't quite know is that much of a piece of shit yet, but Rambo tells us. He's like, you don't know how black a man's heart can be. And then she says something about, she says that he's changed.
Yeah, well, she said maybe he's changed. Yeah.
Well, he was not the dad, but she was saying, yeah, he can change. You've changed.
Yes. Yeah.
But he actually says, I haven't changed.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to keep a lid on it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like, if you think about like the first Rambo film is him going to save somebody. He's going to rescue. He's going to. Yeah, I think he in the yeah, I'm pretty sure the first one is in First Blood. He's like he's going into the jungle to rescue like a comrade.
Okay.
And then at the end of the movie, he finds out the guy was dead the whole time.
Oh, really?
Jeez. It's really fucked up.
That is.
So you can see that he's got that like kind of mentality. But you know. I like the fact that, you know, in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, like action films were wrought with indiscriminate killing.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was no guilt. There was no remorse, nothing. And I like the fact that this piles all of that on really hard.
That's what I wanted. Like I wanted to see the 2020 version of this, or like, I mean, I guess it was a 2019 version, but you know what I mean? Like the scene where he's with Giselle, I think was her name, the girl that sold out Gabriella. And she like okay, he takes her to the club and she points out the guy that is supposed to be the bad guy, and then he just like lets her leave, and then he just like follows that guy to his truck, and before the guy admits anything, he's already like stabbed him in the leg, and then, like, it was like, what if that was just some other dude that she pointed out just to get away? Like, I would have loved to have just seen that, and it's like all of a sudden it's like not even the guy, completely random dude that she was just like, yeah, that's the guy.
That is a good point. I guess I was just so distracted by bones getting ripped out of the guy's body that I was like, oh. But the logistics, though.
Which, I mean, you could, like, in my mind, in my head canon, it's like, okay, he's just such a good interrogator that he could tell she was being honest. You know, I guess like that's, but it was just, to me, it was kind of funny that it was like, before getting any information from him, he was like already stabbing him just on her word, who we already know she's not, you know, the best person. Like, why are we trusting her just to be like, I don't know, that part kind of made me laugh.
Yeah, that actually is, I didn't really think about it. That is a really good point, because she also kept saying, like, you know, I have to live here, these people, like, you know, I have to show my face around here. You know, like, kind of rewinding back to the beginning with the very lackluster character development. He's like, it's so funny at the beginning. Did you ever see the movie Walk Hard?
Oh God, yeah, I love Walk Hard.
Where he's out with his brother and he's like, in this long life of mine, I'm gonna be an astronaut, I'm gonna be the president. Ain't nothing bad gonna happen today.
Yep.
He's like, at the beginning of the movie, he's like, you got such a bright future.
Yes.
You're probably gonna die before the end of this movie.
Yeah, that part was like way too heavy-handed to me. It was like, all right, this is the line. Okay, when it says also written by Sylvester Stallone, that was the line he wrote.
Shouldn't we say this though? Shouldn't we say this? And they were like, no. And he's like, I am the law.
Like, but it's really subtle. Well, it's foreshadowing, and no one will get that. Sorry.
I love how neither of our Stallone impressions sound anything like Sylvester Stallone.
No, but I think if I heard it, I would know that it was someone doing it. You know how, like, there's a lot of impressions that the impression is almost more recognizable than the actual person's voice?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. Yours sounded like tough guy Bernie Sanders to me.
I think Sylvester Stallone is just tough guy Bernie Sanders. I think that really might be what that is. Yeah.
Bernie Sanders was alive before him. It's entirely possible. I think that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you're gonna say something. Go ahead.
Well, I did. Like, we kind of started touching on it in the beginning. The scene where it's kind of like the entire plot point of this movie, where they're talking in the tunnels, and she wants to go see her dad, and he's, you know, basically like, it kind of circles to like, can't you wait a few years to learn like why you shouldn't? I get like, and to me, like, I don't know, it seemed way too obvious that, like, I don't have a kid, but I know that when you tell a kid not to do something, that's just what they're going to want to do. So it seemed way too obvious to me that it was like, oh, well, they're going to tell her not to do that, and she's just going to go do it. So, like, I don't know. And like, again, that's coming from me who had no experience raising a kid. So to me, it just seemed like the characters in this movie should have known better and had some, if they do have this, like, good, healthy relationship with her, there should be some sort of communication that could have happened that would have prevented everything that went on in this movie. And she seemed, I mean, she's old enough to go off to college, like, she's getting ready to go off to college. Also, like, what are they making her wait for? That she's literally about to enter the quote unquote real world. Are there truths they're having to protect her from that they're not going to tell her until, like, what age? Like, I don't know. To me, just like, it seemed like it was kind of a flimsy plot point at the beginning there. I wanted to know what your opinion on that was.
They had to figure out some way, and I think that was like, well, you know, on this, you said you don't know what it's like to raise a kid. Well, I don't know what it's like not to know my dad.
Yeah, true.
Neither of us do. So, like, I wonder how much that desire to know, you know, your dad, or ask them why, how much the need for that closure contributed to it. I think that, but like you said, they should have known her well enough, or understood people well enough at that point to kind of know where she was coming from with it. Yeah. And honestly, like, just outside of, you know, Rambo action film world, it wouldn't have been a bad idea for him to just be like, you know what, look, I'm telling you, you shouldn't see the guy. I'm telling you he's a piece of shit. You don't believe me. Well, fuck it. Let's go across the border together.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know?
like she's basically an adult at this point if she's going off to college. It's like if she wants to make that decision, then support her in it and help her with it. Like, yeah, it just, I don't know. It seemed like a weird for the family dynamic to it seemed inconsistent. For the family dynamic was supposed to be so healthy, it seemed like this is only something that would come from like an unhealthy or like lack of communication or whatever. Like,
well, I mean, I imagine that John Rambo is probably not the most emotionally available person either.
but in this movie, they made him seem like he was. Like in all the scenes where he's like interacting with her, like he seems like he's just always kind of there and, you know, willing to talk. But
yeah, I mean, he seems to care about her, and I think that if his whole shtick was, you know, I can't control what's out there, well, why don't you just go with her and then you can? Yeah, but I agree. I think that for the relationship that they wrote for the two of them, that they probably should have had a more open dialogue.
yeah,
But then again, it's like you said, you were like, well, it is an action film.
exactly. Yeah.
So, and you know, like I think that like Sylvester Stallone gets a bad rap because of some of the films that he's been in for his acting, but he's actually not a terrible actor.
No, I wouldn't say so. He's like very typecast.
Way worse than him.
Oh yeah.
He's very what? Were you say typecast?
Yeah, like he just always kind of plays the same character. Like we talked about a few actors that are like that. They always just kind of get like end up with this role that is basically this, like how Rocky and Rambo are the same character.
Rocky Rambo. I'm gonna use that a lot now.
Rocky Ramboa. That's his.
Yeah, Rocky Rambo. It's just to collectively refer to the two characters. Actually, I have a picture next to the statue of Rocky in Philly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's from like over a decade ago. When my sister lived in Delaware, and when you're in Delaware, the only thing to do is to go to Pennsylvania. Yeah. So we went to Pennsylvania because it's cooler.
Do you want to come to Delaware and see the sights in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. So do you want to go to Delaware and either be a Pittsburgh Steelers or Philadelphia Eagles fan? Because that's what they all are there. It's kind of funny. You go to any bar during like football season, they're all wearing jerseys from someplace in Pennsylvania. Yeah. The scene where he kind of like busts up in the house where like there's a lot of those girls in there.
Yeah.
And you can see like how beat up and
the first time, like when he finds her, right?
Yeah. Like, so you can see like how like broken like they all are because they won't even leave when they have the opportunity. They're so terrified. They've been so like brainwashed and beaten down that they just won't go anywhere. But there was one scene in there when he busts up in a room and takes his claw hammer and hits that dude directly in the dick.
I remember that.
I'm just like, poetic. I was like, there you go. That's people say the money's the root of all evil. I disagree. I think it's genitals.
I think it's dick. Dick is the root of all evil.
That's it. That's what it is.
That'd be a good shirt. I would wear that shirt.
Dick is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, and this is like, it's funny that we go the places we go when like on some of these talks, like, but like a lot of this, I am at this point in my existence where like I've become like opposed to pornography.
Yeah.
Like I think it's toxic for everyone. Like this whole mentality that, you know, that the main villain has, that these people are things and not people to him. I think that in a lot of ways, like straight young men, if, you know, their exposure to sex at a young age is pornography, that's where a lot of it goes. Like whether or not, I'm not saying that they're going to condone human trafficking and other sorts of atrocities like that.
Yeah.
But it gives people this perception or this idea, like young straight guys, that women are somehow there specifically for their gratification as males. And it also gives young women that are not exposed the same sort of idea, because if you look at how the majority of pornography is, like the two sexes are portrayed in it, like that's a lot of what it is.
Gotcha.
So, and you know, for me, like I pretty much quit it Like I don't partake in any of that stuff anymore because like a lot of people will say that it's not a big deal, that it's like not really harmful, but I think it really, really, really is. In like a lot of ways. And if you look at a lot of the advice columns or a lot of the like the step guides that relationship counselors will give you for a fair proofing your marriage,
a fair proofing. Gotcha.
Yeah, they'll say quit porn. That's one of the first things. But I just, for some reason, I felt compelled to mention that when I was thinking about this this movie talk, that I felt like it was a necessary thing to say. And I'm not saying that everybody that watches porn is okay with the shit that happens in this movie. I'm sure most normal, healthy people wouldn't be. But I think that there's a root, there's sort of a basis, and a lot of it like goes not just with pornography, but also the culture you're exposed to, like how the men you're around talk about women or treat women, you know, when you're growing up, and differentiating between like what's good and okay expression and what's like maybe not so good. But you know, it's interesting because you get to see what it takes for someone who's done with all the terrible shit they've done to do terrible shit again.
Yep.
That, you know, so you take something from John Rambo that's a very specific, you know, kind of meaning to him, and that's the thing that makes him okay with taking the lid off, so to speak.
Yeah. Let the tiger out of the cage.
But wouldn't it have been better if he just died on the porch?
I think so, yes. I was not excited about the ending. Hold on. Excuse me, got the corona. I was expecting okay, so you saw Star Wars Episode 7, right? The Force Awakens?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay, so like probably the longest telegraphed death in film history, right? Like we knew that Harrison Ford was coming back as Han Solo to kill the character. He wanted the character to die for decades. Like that to me was obvious. It was like, oh, okay, as soon as I saw that he was on that movie reprising that role, it was like, oh, he's obviously going to die. That to me was this movie too. It was like, oh, hold on, there's a 2019 Rambo movie called Last Blood. Yeah, he's definitely coming back to die. You know, it's like they're going to put the bookend on this character by like, let's kill it off, actually. So It was really confusing to me at the end when he did not die on the porch. That to me, I thought was like, I saw that coming the entire time. And I was like, what is there going to be Laster Blood? Is it like Rambo will return in Rambo 14, Lastest Blood, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it just would have made sense because he has that sort of like martyr kind of mentality as a character. So you would have expected it. Also, like, dude, riding a horse with a laceration to your abdomen.
Yeah.
So far-fetched. Anyone that's ever ridden a horse can tell you. Like,
there
is no way.
It would be incredibly painful.
And he just like hops up on there, even getting on the horse. Like, he doesn't wince at all. Like, dude, you should be in a lot of pain right now. And
one thing that jumped out to me, I'm sorry, this to me is what told me that I'm not a Rambo fan. And because to me, the movie was over at 55 minutes when there was an entire story of this innocent girl was kidnapped. He went to try to rescue her. He did rescue her and she died. But like the whole like going back for revenge to me was not like, doesn't occur to me. It is not the way that I think. And it's like, but that is the way that Rambo fans think. So it was like that whole like end third of the movie to me was just like, that's what made me realize it was like, yeah, I'm not this movie's demographic, but it was cool. I did love the sadistic Home Alone kind of like montage of like setting up that like that shit was cool, but it did make me like, to me that like the story was over at like you're doing everything in your power to rescue this person. Once they're dead, it was like the going back for revenge to me was just pointless. I mean, he does have the scene where he's kind of talking to I even forget that character's name, the Paz Vega's character. is it Carmen Delgado or something like that, or like that character felt so weak too. Like there was no point for that character to be in this movie other than like we need John Rambo to have some information about these guys. Let's put an investigative journalist in it, and she'll tell him what he needs to know. But it was like there is that scene where like they kind of those two characters offer the two balancing perspectives on should he go back for revenge or not, and like that to me was like everything she said made sense to me, and I was like, I don't get why you're going back. Like it's over, but like to him, it like the point he was making was like it can't be over because he sees her everywhere. I guess like that it'll never be over.
There seemed to be a moment like what he's saying to her like right before she dies. Like there's a moment where I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? Like nothing is ever going to be beautiful to this man again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was like, the moment that she left the world, there was nothing for him. And the fact that the line right after he just goes, "Why not me?"
Yeah, yeah.
And the moment that he said, "Why not me?" I was like, well, this is now a revenge film.
Yeah, yeah. I did two things. I checked how much time was left in it, and it was like, all right, this is either ending very quickly, because you also like you didn't like spoil something for me, but you did prime me for like a sad ending. So I was kind of like, all right, is this going to be a really short movie that is ending here on a really sad note? Or then I looked, I was like, no, there's 30 minutes left. I was like, all right, never mind. There's revenge.
Dude, at some point, like I feel like I'm gonna bring a bunch of like shitty action films to this just for fun.
That's fine.
There's actually one of my favorite revenge films. It's called Death Sentence. I think it might actually be a remake.
I don't think I've seen that.
It stars none other than Kevin Bacon.
Oh my god, dude! I actually love Kevin Bacon.
I think John Goodman is in it. I think he plays like a small role in there too.
I love John Goodman too.
Well, it's funny, like this is a complete sidetrack, but this movie came out like a long time ago, like before 2010. But there's a scene where Kevin Bacon's character is running through a parking deck, and like I paused it to like go to the bathroom. When I came back and I saw like the pose he's in, he's like doing like this thing. And I was like, Footloose? Because it looks just like the cover of Footloose.
That's awesome.
Like, oh my god,
that's great.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite revenge films. Like I like the way that Kevin Bacon plays the character. I like the incidents that occur, like the meaninglessness of the death in the movie that makes the revenge happen. I love how alienated everybody else is from his character. Like I just love it. But you know, there's this thing that I talk about that I think it's I don't know if it's Nietzsche or if it's Jung.
Okay.
But one of those dudes talked about like cultivating your darkness or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
John Rambo seems to be pretty good at that.
Yeah, he's got one.
He's cultivated quite a bit of darkness.
He's got quite the darkness. So in that case, if you need to, get some advice from a flat character in a movie to tell you where everybody is, so then you can go on a killing spree. Because I mean, that's the thing. Is like I do like the fact that at the end of the movie that he gets his ass kicked by everybody when he just tries to do force on force, and at the end of the movie he like sets all the weird like traps and stuff, and that to like even the playing field or whatever.
Which was pretty cool. I mean, it is like it did make me wonder though. So I've been preaching this for a while. I'm trying to do the like suspending disbelief stuff where it's just like, okay, this movie takes place in this universe. I don't need it to make sense with ours. But when I do that, I try to at least say like, okay, well, that universe has to make sense within itself. I want things to be consistent within that. They don't have to be consistent to my universe and how I understand reality. But it did make me wonder, it's like, how the fuck long did it take him to dig all those tunnels? In this universe, like how many years did he spend just underground, spending probably 12-hour days digging? Like that was a lot of fucking tunnels that, from what I understood, it was supposed to be just him that built them, right? Or
yeah, I would assume. And I mean, I think this happens like, I think 10 years.
Okay. After the last Rambo, or okay. When where it says the last one you said ended with him walking on this farm. Okay.
The one where he walks onto the ranch. I think that this is supposed to happen 10 years after that, but that still doesn't seem like enough time to build those kinds of tunnels. And even then, it's like, why the fuck do you have tunnels under your ranch, buddy?
Yeah. Well, for the last 30 minutes of this movie, like.
Well,
which
there's
made it awesome. Like,
at the beginning, like where he's like, "Here, have your party in the tunnels."
yeah, that was kind of
And
weird.
it's like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna love the tunnels, and they're listening like trap music.
I did like the conversation about the music where the lady's like says it's horrible. And he's like, I could get used to it.
Also, how long has Rambo spoken Spanish? Because I don't remember that.
I don't remember. Well, 10 years. He's lived on a ranch in Arizona for 10 years. You're gonna pick it up. That part to me is, yeah. I mean, like it's gonna be that part to me is incredibly believable.
You don't have a choice there.
And it did. So, and I'm working my way through my notes. The last note I have is like about the last part. It did make me realize. I mean, the other thing that made me realize that I was not the demographic for this movie was the montage at the end with all the scenes from previous Rambo movies that I did not recognize a single one. It's like that way. Like it's just, like. If you're a Rambo fan, this movie probably hit a lot different than it did for me, which I would say explains the huge difference in the Rotten Tomato scores. This is almost like what you would consider a cult movie, where the critic scores are really low at 27, and then the audience scores are pretty high at 82%. Like I feel like it strikes a chord with a certain audience that really likes it. And that audience are people that like those scenes were going to resonate with, where to me, not having seen any other Rambo movie, they were just like, oh, it's young Sylvester Stallone hanging from a helicopter. That's cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, I got like a little, when I saw it the first time, I got a little teary eyed watching the montage.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I mean, Cliffhanger, way better than Rambo. Judge Dredd. I love Judge Dredd.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Demolition Man is fucking excellent.
I was considering doing Demolition Man one of these weeks.
Dude, did you? Let's do it. I'm down. Yeah.
Sweet.
I love that movie. Like everything, like all the cultural shit in that movie is so funny. Like,
oh yeah.
It's almost, there's a few things about it that are a little dystopian.
Oh yeah.
But like subtle, like dystopian stuff.
What year is Demolition Man supposed to be?
Probably now.
That's what I'm wondering if it's like supposed to be
2010 or some shit. Well, it's funny. Have you watched any of the Chicago Bulls documentary on Netflix?
Oh, 2032. Okay. No, I almost started it though. I saw the title came up for me, but I haven't started it yet.
There's a scene where one of the guys, they're interviewing someone. I want to say it's Michael Jordan, or it might have been Pippen, but they're talking about when Dennis Rodman started with the crazy hairstyles. And one of them was like, yeah, then he started doing Demolition Man. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, like nice, really dated cultural reference. That is what Wesley Snipes' hair looked like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. But I think that there's a lot of films by him that star him that I liked better than the Rambo franchise. But I still kind of grew up watching some of these. Yeah. And like there's still like the idea of like shooting an automatic weapon from your hip.
Yeah. Yep.
Rambo, like everybody like it. I mean, everybody makes that reference when they're doing something like that. I mean, there's like tons of videos of Marines Ramboing like certain guns on YouTube and stuff.
Or I mean, like he talked about in this movie, it was like this is the character that from a young age wanted to be a soldier. No other, it's like that's like even though Stallone has had better movies, better characters, arguably, like there's no other character that fits that role of like if you are just the soldier gun guy, like who's your, what's your go-to character? It's like, oh yeah, I love Rambo.
It's Rambo. Like I even talked about Rambo the other day, just before I even thought about us doing this movie. Like I just mentioned it. I don't remember what we were talking about, but that is on the subject of firearms. Did you happen to notice Rambo's pistol?
I didn't notice. What was it? 1911? What was it?
Of course, it's a 1911.
I thought so.
Yeah. Trusty American sidearm that's been present for multiple conflicts.
No,
United States military issue.
Well, you know me. I had my eyes on the other trusty firearm that has been present in many military conflicts. There were a couple of nice ARs in this movie.
The little M4, I think it was an M4 that the bad guy had. I don't even know his name. That's pretty nice. That thing was. Yeah, what is his name? Thing was. It was hooked up.
Yeah, I liked his. Weapon. What is his name? Hugo Martinez. Yeah. That's the other thing too. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Well, his real name was the Sergio Perez Manchetta, right?
Manchetta?
Manchetta.
Manchego? What?
Manchetta?
Cheese?
I think it's Manchetta. Mencheta.
I'm just
Okay. I was like, am I reading this wrong? Shit. Well, that's all of my notes. Do you have any other notes you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I mean, I'm just really, there's one particular thing that I would like to explore a little bit that doesn't have a whole lot to do with the movie.
Okay.
Like, you said that you're not the Rambo demographic. What do you think the demographic is exactly? Like, what is the demographic that you're referring to? Could you just give me the archetype of the Rambo person?
In what, like physically, or in what regard?
Yeah, do they, I mean, personality wise, like what kind of music do they listen to? Do they listen to Five Finger Death Punch and like lift weights all the time?
Oh God. Okay.
Maybe
So how hard do I lean into this? Do I lean away from it or lean into it? I think, like, if I were to guess what CD is in their lifted truck right now, it is the soundtrack from Frozen. Because they're taking their daughter to daycare. But no, it is, you know what I mean though? It is more like, not that it's a particular type of person, but it's more like that. I think it's more the linchpin reaction in that scene. And honestly, like for me not really enjoying this movie, I do think that scene was done very well. But the argument between the two, like, do I go back for revenge or do I just like move past this? That to me is the demographic of, like, well, I'm not going to say everyone that's on the revenge side would love this movie, but if you're on the revenge side and you also like action movies or like Rambo, then this is your movie. But for me, being like on the side of like, no, move past it. Like, you got away with your life from that horrible situation. It is unfortunate that the girl died, but like going back for revenge to me didn't make sense, which I think makes me not in the demographic.
It didn't make sense, but he's also like 90 years old, so it's like,
that is true.
Buddy, you may as well.
That is true. Well, let's do favorite line. What is your favorite line from Rambo: Last Blood?
I might need to back up from the mic for this one. Actually, it's probably still going to come through. I like it because it's kind of punny.
Okay.
Want to live? Follow the lights.
That one was pretty good. Yeah, when he's about to kill Homeboy down in the tunnels, he blows up all the tunnels. That was pretty good. That was a good one. All right, my favorite line was earlier in the movie. I want Sylvester Stallone to speak up some more. There were times in this movie where I really I don't understand why there were subtitles for Spanish, but he didn't get subtitles. I had no idea what he was saying half the fucking time. No, I'm sorry. That was just all memes aside. My actual favorite line was from Gabriella. Yeah. I hate to break it to you, but nobody writes letters anymore. When he tries to give her the letter opener, I thought that was pretty funny.
Because it's funny because I felt old because legitimate gift. It's like, oh, she's right.
Yeah, I almost bought a letter opener not too long ago and then realized I would never fucking use it. It's like when I have actual packages, I've got a pocket knife. But it's the Lich King's sword miniaturized as a letter opener. Like a little tiny replica of Frostmourne. I thought it was really fucking cool. Like, that sitting on a shelf would look fun, but it's like I would never use that as a letter opener.
Makes you wish people wrote letters.
Exactly. Let's start writing letters. Let's do.
Dude, I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Write someone a letter.
Yeah, I'm gonna write one of my nephews a letter.
That would actually be kind of cool. Well, guys, folks, that is gonna bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you've been watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed the conversation, hit that like button, subscribe to keep up to date with the show, and comment below and tell us what you thought about Rambo: Last Blood. If you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, you can join our Discord. The link is in the description down below. And we'll be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylerTV. Thank you all for listening and hope everyone has a great week.